This video is on the functionalist theory. Let's talk about the functionalist theory. Functionalism says that social class is necessary. It serves a purpose. It meets a need. This is their thinking. Remember earlier this semester what we said? We said functionalist theory says everything in society serves a purpose, meets a need. They claim, functionalist theorists, that we need social class because some jobs are more important than others, and in order to attract the best qualified, the most talented people into these important jobs, we're going to offer more money. For instance, an astronaut, a brain surgeon, and many other jobs out there that we think are important. In order to get the best, most qualified people for these jobs, how do we get them? We offer more money. Therefore, look, you're going to have people making more money, people making less money in society. This is social class. They also say, relatedly, that these jobs, many of these important jobs, have requirements. They require that people go through many years of training in order to get the skills to do the job. An astronaut has to go through all kinds of training to become an astronaut. A brain surgeon has to go through all kinds of training in college and internships to become a brain surgeon. So therefore, in order to, how can we say, encourage or compensate people for going through all these years of training, we're going to offer more pay for these jobs. So simply stated, functionalist theory says social class is necessary. We're going to have people with more money and less money because some jobs are more important, and we have to attract the best people for these jobs. And also, relatedly, that the requirements for many of these important jobs are such that we have to somehow reward people for going through all the training to get the requirements to do these important jobs. At this point, functionalism and this theory makes sense. A lot of you might go, yeah, that's true. I'm going to college. I'm going through a lot of training, having to listen to Mr. V here and not doing jokes as much in class because I'm on YouTube. I've got to be careful, right? Having to listen to me, I want to get paid more, right? So let's talk about this for a second. Is there anything wrong with this theory? Yeah. First criticism, does everybody have an equal chance to get these jobs, to get the education necessary for these jobs? And conflict theorists would say no. They would say that things such as sexism, poverty, racism make it more difficult for certain groups in society to get the training, to get the skills in order to get these jobs. True. And that because of various forms of discrimination, they may not get them even if they get the training. So that's the first criticism. Second criticism says, look, do we pay a lot of money to some jobs that aren't that important? Because remember, functionalists said we're paying money to those jobs that are more important. Think about jobs that really aren't that important. Here we go. Football players. Now, I like football, and I hope we have a football season. I'm a Dolphin fan, okay? But really, we pay millions upon millions of dollars to sports figures, to movie stars, to singers, to performers. Are these jobs really that important? For instance, if all the football players went on strike, would our society collapse? If Taylor Swift says, I'm not going to sing anymore, Beyonce's not going to sing anymore, would our society collapse? No. We might be disappointed, but society would go on. So we're paying a lot of money to jobs that are not that important. And a related criticism is, look, there are jobs that are important out there that we don't pay that much to. For instance, janitors. What would create a bigger problem for society? Taylor Swift not singing, the football players not playing, or all the janitors quitting? So when we go back to school and work after the coronavirus, there are no janitors to clean the bathrooms, to replenish the paper and the soap. What's going to cause us more problems? Not having football players, not having janitors. Think about it. What if all the garbage people went on strike? I bet that would create many more problems than not having expensive football players. So we see the criticism here is that we pay a lot of money to some jobs that really aren't that important, and not that much money to some jobs that may be really more important than we think. I mean, we're learning this in the coronavirus, where we're looking at jobs like people who, work in supermarkets. It's more important than we thought, because they might be exposed to the coronavirus. And do we really pay them the right salaries? Think about it. A final criticism is that for some of these jobs that we don't consider to be important, there are requirements that we haven't thought about. Remember, a brain surgeon has to go through many years of training. Okay, that's a requirement. I admit it. It should be compensated. But I was a janitor And you know what? It didn't take much training when you think about it. No, it didn't take much. But a janitor had another requirement. That's why I was only a janitor 2 weeks, and that is a strong stomach. Because you know, there are people who go in the bathrooms and I don't know what's wrong with them, man. I hope you're not one, okay? You know, they pee all over the place, they crap all over the place, they stop the toilet up with paper towels, and you have to go in there and clean it up. That's why I was a janitor for only 2 weeks, because I said, no way, man, I'm not going to do this. There was a requirement to be a janitor that wasn't stated. You know what that is? That you have to put up and clean up all of this mess. And I'll tell you right now, that requirement, I think, should be rewarded. There are other jobs out there that require a lot of hard physical labor, people who have to lift heavy objects and work in extreme temperatures. Those are requirements. Sure, it's not an education, but those are requirements. So let's summarize the criticisms of functionalist theory. First, not everybody has an equal chance to get the good education and the good jobs. Second, we're paying a lot of money for jobs that really are not that important. If you think about it, the movie stars, the singers, the dancers, the sports figures, what have you. Third, we don't pay enough money maybe to some jobs that are that important. You know, janitors, garbage men, even jobs like school teachers. Do they really get what they deserve? Do the police department and fire department really get what they deserve? Because those are very important jobs. People working in the healthcare industry. Are some of these, is everybody being given the pay? These are important jobs. And finally, requirements. And requirements, what we are referring to is the fact that jobs have hidden requirements, like a person who has to work in the hot sun and lift heavy objects. That's a requirement. Or like, as I gave the example, me being a janitor and having to clean up after these people who were horrendous when they went to the bathroom. So this is the functionalist theory and the criticisms of this theory.